Welcome to the Political Insider, and have we got great news for all of you Political Insider fans? We have got a new supporter, and that is Trade Nation. You can see them. It's a trading platform where you can trade currencies, foreign exchange, international markets. There's all the details you need in their website. You can get the details below. If you're considering trading the market, consider opening an account with Trade Nation. You can make money, but be careful. It can go the other way. I know that they have all of the information that you would need. Please support Trade Nation because they support us here on the Political Insider as we grow. And we grow because you have subscribed to this channel. Let's kick off at the Madlanga Commission, where Julius Mkhwanazi, remember him, that very dodgy police guy from Ekurhuleni, has been replaced on the top of the list of dodgy people to be at the Madlanga Commission. And he's been replaced by none other than businessmen. I love that term, businessman. Like they start a business. They start a business only after they get the order, but we'll call him a businessman because that's what he calls himself. Suleiman Karim, who also happens to be the treasurer of the ANC in the Northwest Province. But my lord, nothing screams I'm innocent more than fighting for weeks and months to not appear before the Madlanga Commission, and then finally arriving with five lawyers who tried to get you off the stand from testifying at this commission. This carried on for what must have been another hour before the commission could get going yesterday. And I even saw the weirdest thing, and that is the normally super cool Justice Mboyiseli Madlanga get angry with these attorneys that were trying every trick in the book to get their client not to appear before the commission. It was absurd. Okay, and eventually he slapped down their frivolous challenges, and Karim took the stage. And boy, did he make an impression almost from the get-go. Very, very important witness, because he seemingly is another member of the Big Five. It looks like, if there is such a thing, maybe, like when you go to the game park and you're trying to find the Big Five, could be Suleiman Karim as one of them. But anyway, he explained, for starters, why in his evidence he couldn't supply WhatsApp messages or history of his WhatsApp messages. He says he regularly changed his phones because of his position. Much like the five attorneys, changing phones every couple of months and changing numbers, that also tells you how innocent you are. I'm sure you can find, last half a dozen of his phones at the bottom of the Hartbeespoort Dam. But when he was asked for access to his iCloud, he said, speak to one of my five attorneys. He is not there to cooperate. But my lord, what little he had to say was incriminating enough. For starters, he just somehow lent 10 million rand to Kat Matlala. No agreement in place, just a shake of the hand. Sure, Kat, I don't even think they shook hands, but he has 10 million. These guys were literally handing out tens of millions to each other as the evidence grew between Kat Matlala and Suleiman Karim. And then our favorite name emerged, Morgan Maumela. The on again, off again. I know him, but I don't know him. President's one-time nephew, who the president said he didn't know, and then there's video of the president going into his house. That guy. Maumela, the guy with the Lamborghinis, the sky blue Lamborghinis. Now, I mentioned that he lent Kat Matlala 10 million rand. This is crazy. This is after he has just told the commission that he only just met Matlala. Now, I don't know how many people you only just meet and then give them 10 million rand, but hey, perhaps business is done differently in the Northwest. And this relationship, which Kat Matlala seems to be world champion at, which is you meet somebody and suddenly there's this deepest relationship. This is like watching one of those rom-coms. You know each other for a week and the next thing they're getting married. But Matlala is like, he's able to cultivate these relationships which lead quite deep, quite quickly. And it seems like Karim was intimately involved in financing the Matlala empire and leveraging off um, so much of what Matlala was doing. Most notably, his SAPS tender, that 360 million rand police tender that one of the country's biggest criminals gets from the government. Nothing is more dodgy than a criminal getting a police tender, but hey, this is South Africa. And then the link with Maumela. They were doing mining deals together where they each put in 50 million rand to start a chrome business where they were washing stone, crushing this, that, the other. Suddenly, Mr. Karim is Mr. Oppenheimer, a great mining magnate who understands every bit of the business. Remember, business, you generally start a business hoping to get customers. In this case, these people that call themselves businessmen get the customers up front, i.e. the government, and then they start the business. That's a far better way to start a business, but it isn't the way they teach you at business school. It's the way they teach you at criminal school. So he was helping Maumela to wash 50 million rand. And apparently what they were doing is that between Maumela and Matlala and Karim, the money was going from this company to that company, ending up in the accounts of businesses, in the family members of Morgan Maumela. Right? The laundering of Maumela's money was already under close scrutiny. Not that you would know, because he seems to be the only one of the crime syndicates that the police won't go near. We know that the SIU, the investigative unit in the assets forfeiture unit, took his Lamborghinis in a blaze of glory. It was all over TV, all these luxury cars being taken away. Do you know that those cars were then sent back? Because, you can't touch Morgan Maumela. Clearly he is a guy who has got somebody batting for him. But anyway, the point is that what could catch these guys out, as it always is, the famous story of Al Capone going down because of a tax problem. Well, it seems like where there's real proof is that there's proof of 500,000 rand, which for these guys is what they light their cigars with. But there's a clear case of money laundering to the value of 500,000 rand, small money, which implicates Karim, Kat Matlala, and Morgan Maumela. Basically, the money goes from Kat to Karim to Maumela's family, his sister in this case. Right? And the money was transferred and ends up in Morgan Maumela's sister's account. And this was all done to dodge scrutiny and to not pay tax. Because even if you steal money, the tax money wants to steal their bit as well. So it's going to be very hard for him to fight this little trail of money, which is quite clearly provable. Karim claimed he was innocent. The gullible businessman, suddenly I'm so silly, I don't know how this stuff works. And he was merely caught up, in his own words, in a web of people. This one telling me to do that, and then I just did this, and then I told Morgan Maumela that I know the Minister of Police, but I didn't really. I told him I knew the Minister of Police because Brian Mokgotsi told him that you must tell him you know the Minister of Police, and it's absolute rubbish. But the point is that these guys were doing serious government work. And yes, we know about the SAPS tender, but that's what we know about. There is no ways that people are buying Lamborghinis and living in the lives that they're living on the back of one tender. No, there was tentacles everywhere. And of course, what brings them down is eventually the Tembisa Hospital and the murder of Babita Deokaran. Right? So whichever way you look at it, Karim looks like he is in awful trouble, and he is definitely part of a criminal syndicate. Those lawyers are going to work for him until they don't get paid anymore. Right? And right now, it looks like maybe we know 4 names of criminal syndicate bosses. Kat Matlala, who seems to kind of be the muscle man and the guy with the most energy. Katiso Malefe, he's around, friends with Kenny Kunene, and Morgan Maumela, who may or may not know the president, and now Suleiman Karim, ANC treasurer in Northwest. Everybody is linked. They were all doing business together. It's going to be a real issue as these guys slow walk their way into prison. but hopefully take a few politicians with him. Talk about politicians that should pay a price and are desperate not to. How about this one? Our favorite criminal hotspot, Ekurhuleni, the city just east of Johannesburg, where their mayor, Nkosindipile Kakaza, is seeking a court order to stop News 24 from publishing stories that link him to crimes. From murders of DJs he didn't tell people he knew, to the biggest one of the lot, which was the murder of and the assassination of the Ekurhuleni auditor Mpho Mafole. Right? And he has even threatened to sue investigative journalist Sikonathi Mantshantsha from News 24 in his personal capacity for running with these stories. What's at the heart of this is that the auditor Mpho Mafole was investigating a 1.8 billion rand chemical toilet tender. And, you know, the mayor's bid to have these stories stopped goes to court today. But the story behind the story isn't whether News 24 is going to write another book, but it's about the crimes that are committed because there is a growing dependency on the government not doing their business. Why would you need a 1.8 billion rand chemical toilet tender? Because you don't build toilets, or you don't maintain the ones that you build. So you build a new township, you don't build the toilets, or you don't maintain them. Pretty soon you have to bring those rocket toilets. They need to be emptied. They need new chemicals. They need to be treated. You give a company a contract. And pretty soon you have got a multi-billion rand business just there in toilets, and you better not fix the toilets, which will then just run and be easy to maintain. No, so you've got to break the toilets, much like water. The reason you don't maintain the water is you actually break it on purpose. Why? So that you can get in water tankers. And then there's another billion rand contract. And you supply water, which comes from the one tap that you keep working, and it goes in there and everybody makes some money. Or you police don't do their job, so that you have to hire security guards from Cat Matlala at Cat Security. But the people that don't hire those kind of people are the people that get assassinated, people like Babita Deokaran, right? This is where the trail of bodies leads to, and it leads to the same people ending up in court. So, to go back to the court order, the mayor, Kakaza, is looking to stop this investigation, which will show who benefited from this chemical toilet tender. Could the mayor be one of the people mentioned in the report he wants to stop? If not, he's really batting hard for whoever is guilty, if it's not him. So we'll keep an eye on this and see how long it goes. Right, let's talk about the Middle East conflict, but less about the conflict itself and more about the impact. Because we've seen oil prices rocket up around the world. And what is driving this is the obvious attack on Iran and the counterattack from Iran on some of the allies in this attack being, you know, Saudi and the United Arab Emirates and so on. And what's really raising the price of oil is this chokehold that the Iranians have on the Strait of Hormuz, which is on the eastern side of the Gulf, the Arabian Gulf, Persian Gulf as it's called, and this is where nearly a quarter of the world oil flows from. Now there's some reality that this could really, really hurt South Africa. And it raises the specter of a terrible thing called fuel rationing, petrol rationing in South Africa, because we are completely dependent on the importation of oil. We've seen a small rise in the oil price, but we ain't seen nothing yet, right? This could lead to a rise in the petrol price by up to 4 to 5 rand a litre, if one looks at the current oil price and if this situation holds. You can't help thinking that, South Africa has created many of its own problems. We've seen the closure of several domestic oil refineries. If I'm not mistaken, we used to have 5. I think we have 1. And that's hanging on by its fingernails. What happened? Why did those oil refineries close? Well, the government made it impossible for the major oil companies to continue to trade in South Africa. And we saw Shell leaving the country. We saw before that Caltex leaving the country. These people, there's a constant pressure on them to have BE partners and to do a whole lot of things that the money just doesn't make sense to do. And of course, there's nobody to run the business, because understand that the comrades, when they sink their teeth into business, are a little bit like the tick on the dog. They just want to suck blood. What happens when the dog dies? The tick's going to die with it. So these businesses disappear. The refineries are shut down. So we don't have refinery. So we have to import fuel, finished fuel, as it's called. In other words, we don't get a tanker full of crude oil. We get a tanker full of petrol. And it arrives as we need it, because where else are we going to store it? So there's no way of getting the cheap, unrefined crude and then refining it and then using it as petrol. No. We have to get finished petrol because we don't have refineries. Now, that's all fine when the world goes along, but it increases the pressure now. Sasol also used to provide between 20 and 25% of our petrol in their fuel from coal business. But we understand that the comrades got their tentacles onto the coal supply business. So Sasol no longer do this in South Africa. And then let's not forget that we had strategic oil reserves. That was actually oil that was stored in disused mines. But then in 2016, our Minister of Energy at the time, Tina Joemat-Pettersson, sold our oil reserves off at the bottom of the market at $28 a barrel. Thank God she's no longer with us. But now we have a wonderful reserve of 8 million barrels of oil, of which we use about 600,000 per day. So we've got about 13 days of oil reserves in South Africa. Up until a few years ago, we had an additional 10 million barrels in reserve. But the comrades were running out of money. So the government sold this in 2022 to boost the fiscus, because we needed to pay money. You need those blue lights. They don't go on by themselves. So all that it leaves for the country, if these oil price holds, is fuel rationing, because you can only do what you can do. And the way we use fuel in South Africa, 600,000 a day, right? It's going to run out. So we need to ration the amount that everybody uses. Now, let's not forget, where's our fuel going to? Well, we watched as the rail infrastructure was destroyed live on television. Our Minister of Transport at the time, Fikile Mbalula, did nothing about it. The police did nothing about it. In fact, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi went on holiday in 2021 when the riots started and a lot of the rails were ripped up. So we now have a rail system which has to be repaired. In the meantime, a complete transport system has emerged where everything is taken by trucks. How do you stop that? Those trucks are thirsty. They need petrol. It's, it just compounds the problem. Instead of putting them on trains, we got to do them on the roads. So we are in the problem of potential oil rationing if peace doesn't break out soon in the Middle East. But of course, we haven't even considered the second order political effects of this conflict in Iran. Because what is going to happen after the fighting stops and an audit is done of the country that has supported that Iranian regime? What is going to happen when they identify one country where we allowed the chief of the defense force to pledge military support to Iran, where we hosted the Iranian Navy for military drills? You may have sanctions which could mirror what we're talking about now, where we have oil sanctions. So we've created a problem for ourselves, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next. That's all we have from the Political Insider. Remember, go check out Trade Nation. Perhaps you want to become a trader. Perhaps you've got what it takes. Be careful out there. It's a dangerous game. But thank you so much for watching the Political Insider, and we hope that you have subscribed to the channel.